Hey everyone, welcome back to the North American Summer Promotion Tournament. We're getting ready for the final game to decide who will be joining the North American LCS Summer Split between Team Dignitas and Fusion. And after a 0-2 start, Fusion roared back to life. They have pulled off the last 2 wins, and they could pull off maybe another reverse sweep this year. Yeah, we've seen so many of them, and honestly, I just kind of want to go right to the picks and bans here. Yeah. What are we going to see here? Because last game, Ken and Annie Ziggs were the bans from Fusion. For Dignitas, it was Maokai, LeBlanc, and Rumble. With so much on the line, these last set of adjustments could be what makes the difference between an LCS team and a Challenger team after this storming back they've done. Biggest thing to note, they've switched sides for the first time in 4 games. So this means that Dignitas actually have the chance to first pick something and maybe actually get the Sejuani that's been so good. I think she's won almost every single game this series. Maokai
this series has been all about team fights.
It has been.
Like, the laning phases have been relatively close. Team Fusion, if they're not getting crushed in the laning phase, are better in team fights. Team Dignitas, likewise, if they're a little bit ahead in the laning phase, they're the ones crushing the team fights.
So far, similar bans from the blue side. Maokai and Rumble. Annie and Kennen dropped away by Fusion. No surprises here. So the last few choices coming through. What was that third Dignitas band that you mentioned before?
Rumble. And LeBlanc would be
and
the other.
LeBlanc was one. So interestingly, I know Shifter has played some LeBlanc. Now to decide, do they get rid of Ziggs? Do they get rid of Sejuani?
I'm wondering why they're having so much discussion about this last ban. It's not like the bans from Fusion are surprising at this point, but they wait to the last second and ban the Lulu.
They let LeBlanc loose. They first pick Hecarim, Sejuani, and LeBlanc are now available. Unless Shifter again plans on playing this champion himself. Lulu, of course, did work for the Protect the Nian comp.
That is pretty core to the victory that they had last game. And now with the first pick, Hecarim, it leaves a lot of stuff up. Sejuani, Sivir, Janna, a lot of big power picks they've had from these previous games. At this point, Team Dignitas.
I'm surprised the high priority on Janna herself. Morgana seemed just fine. And again, Janna doesn't really stop Sejuani anyway. I'm surprised they even wanted to get rid of that and take it off the board for Dignitas. The counter engage support's been weak for Kiwi Kid.
Yeah, I think Team Dignitas should Sivir here for the synergy they have with Hecarim. They could even Sivir Alistar if they wanted to save their soul lane pick for later. I also wonder if they're going to go with Zac or with Gragas for the jungle.
Yeah. Just for something entirely different.
Ooh.
All right, so the LeBlanc was left up. Yep. That's why I didn't really like the Janna very much. You know when the LeBlanc ban gets dropped, you know Shifter can play the champion. Now, to be fair, his assassination play hasn't been great. I mean, his Ari game was like 5-1 and 8. Like, he had a good individual score, but of course, team fighting has been the name of the day.
I was hoping that Shifter would go something like an AP Kog'Maw or Xerath, because that's a big-time, long-range team fighter, different than Ziggs, but still fulfills a similar role of wave clear in team fighting. But they're opting into this assassination game because I think they're a little bit afraid of Huhi's LeBlanc.
Yeah, well, they're going to opt into that right here. Of course, Huhi could just play Kassadin for himself in the matchup. Hovering a bunch of things. All these have been played very recently over in Europe, except for Nasus. And then go back to the Scion up here. Of course, the 2 big carry top laners he's been playing, Rumble and Hecarim, both off the table. So once again onto a tank, Chunky Fresh on 4th pick, essentially. Who he does get to counter pick this matchup here. Gets to play Kassadin against LeBlanc. And, you know, if you're afraid of Huhi playing Assassins, well, you gave him a good matchup for one, too.
Yeah, I think Kassadin versus LeBlanc, especially later in the game with Even Farm, switches over to Kassadin. I'd say early on in the laning phase, even though Kassadin can poke okay with his Q, the kill pressure is all in LeBlanc's favor.
Yeah, true.
A lot of the LeBlanc lanes are decided by jungler pressure, actually. Yeah. If the lane ever gets in a bad spot before level 6, Huhi would be vulnerable. But that's not really been Shifter's style this game, or this series. He's not the guy that gets you those early pressures or kills.
No, he's been wave clearing, essentially. Otherwise being under his turret for most of the game. Zingy's also, he has been ramping up his gank pressure. I remember his Zac game, he got 3, I would say, good ganks off in a row, burning flashes or burning other summoners. Gragas does come back through, though, as does the Alistar jungle, so, sorry, Alistar support, I should say.
Yeah,
Gragas
I would
Alistair.
expect some heavy gank pressure in mid lane, Gragas LeBlanc. Heavy gank pressure.
Yeah.
And they go for Jinx without nearly as much protection against a lot of assassination threat. That's a feeling good about Jinx pick, not necessarily a great pick for the comp.
Well, that's what Neon's been playing. I mean, unless he wanted to play Callista and risk trying to win the lane outright, this is all that Neon's really been playing for himself. Kog'Maw's even riskier to play, as I wouldn't want a Kog'Maw against Hecarim and stuff. At least Jinx can self-peel a little bit with traps. So Neon back on Jinx here, hoping to carry the team out here. Huhi, of course, could also get ahead, but 2 tanks up here. Fusion, we no longer have a damaged top laner. They had won their games with damaged top laners. Rumble and Hecarim were, I would say, integral to Fusion's wins. But here we go, Dignitas. They give Shifter the LeBlanc that these guys have been banning all series long. They get the Sivir once again, and they go back to Alistair for Kiwi Kid. The engage power is definitely here. The teamfight power seems to be there for Dignitas as well.
Yeah.
Got a lot of it.
Another interesting pick and ban phase. We knew we were going to see some big adjustments coming into this last game. Main adjustment was a Lulu ban, with LeBlanc being available. Dignitas tries to take it all for themselves, but they still give away the important Sejuani pick.
Yeah.
True Nintendo X, which he has been dominant on. What more could you ask for in a Game 5, or even getting to 5 games? The pressure is on now.
Pressure is absolutely on. This is the do-or-die game. Who goes to the North American Challenger Series? Who goes to North American LCS? Let us know who you think is going to win this one. Tweet hashtag DIG win or hashtag FSN win to @LOL Esports. Game 5 is now upon us. Assassins in the mid lane. Team fight power. Lots of tanks. Lots of engage on both sides. Honestly, fairly similar team compositions. And we are getting ourselves onto the Rift. Who's going to be the team? Dignitas or Fusion?
Both teams tank junglers once again, but this time instead of utility or team fighting mid laners, these guys have assassins right here. But the lane swap game is something that Fusion won heavily last game. Team Dignitas not really setting up a good defensive line of wards.
You know, they're going for a cheeky invade path right here. Chunky Fresh doesn't see them come in. There's not a lot of CC, though, right? Alistair would have to flash Pulverize for anything to get done. Chunky dances back and forth, sees Kiwi Kid, walks on out, trinkets the Tri-Brush, and... Ooh, they don't quite kill the ward. So, Dignitas spotted in their late invade, all 4 members showing, as they had seen the LeBlanc run elsewhere.
I'm really not a fan of these level 1s from Team Dignitas because they're doing strong invades without leaving any defensive wards to see where Fusion wards. If you're going to do a full invade, my preference is to delay it, actually. You wait back in one of your safe brushes, place a defensive ward where you're not going to be covered with your own invade. So if you're invading right side of the map, you ward the left, wait for the guy to catch up, and then you 5-man invade that side, so you can know when a team sneaks in behind you for a ward. Team Dignitas didn't do that this time, so they don't know that their lane is ward. They can only assume that it's been done.
And they just got spotted.
And they get spotted.
The dual lane of Fusion stuck down to the mid lane tier 2 and says, they're down here. Dig. Yep. Spotted out. They will go for the Krug, so they will not be able to build a freeze in the lane swap situation. And Gomps is going to walk right into a 1-on-2. Without jungling, actually, either, which normally you would want from Hecarim start.
Yeah. Not a clean level 1 by Team Dignitas in any sense. Additionally, they don't deny any of Chunky Fresh's level 2 on Scion.
True. So once again, a quick trip to the lanes for Fusion. A good jungle start for them as well. Nintendo goes Gromp to blue buff. That seems safe for him. Trance just getting money by harassing Gamsu. And so far, perfect CS for Nian.
The lane will not freeze, though, on that side.
Pretty much can't. You have to get lucky for it, too.
Yeah. They didn't meet it early on.
Six CS in 2 waves, actually. Pretty low for Shifter. A lot lost here. He should be able to make up that easily.
Yeah, especially when he's ranged versus melee.
Yeah.
Early in the laning phase.
Well, he's getting a lot of damage on Huhi, though, so Huhi chugging through potions, has a flask as well. A lot of sustain on this casted, and he did run magic resist glyphs after all, so should be able to withstand the sustain, or withstand the harass, I should say, decently well. Shifter trinkets to the top side, expects Nintendo to come from that side. He's actually correct in that one. So nice assessment here. Once again, lands the chain, gets even more damage. Huhi gonna be running out of potions eventually here.
long as Shifter can keep landing that harass, the wave is not in a good spot for him, though. As LeBlanc, that's not a spot where he can get gank assistance.
Yeah, true.
Which I think is pretty critical. I think Shifter needs to snowball this if he wants to have a chance against Caster in the mid and late game.
In the end, gets 22 of the 25 possible CS, missing only 3, not bad. Huhi right now just chilling up against Shifter. Minion farm identical here. Huhi can land Qs at the right time. He can block a lot of the damage Shifter would do. Kiwi Kid now slinks in, lands a headbutt pulverized, but it's a melee top laner. There's not any damage follow. Huhi actually in a pretty big risk now, down to 300 health. And he is out of flask charges, only has 1 potion left, although 2. Yeah, okay, takes up the last couple here. He's going to be at about plus 200 health from this point when the potions all end.
Yeah, Shifter pretty vigorously auto-attacking those last few minions, though. I think he had a chance to set up a freeze if he played it a little bit less aggro, but he's done too much damage to minions, and I feel like he's going to allow Huhi to keep farming as long as Huhi plays pretty safe here.
Look at the crowd vote, too. Heavily going Fusion's way after those last 2 wins. And they have looked like the better team overall. They got a lane swap once again. The gold, though, this time is equal, so Dignitas not falling behind in this situation. Sion is 1v1ing. Oh, the flash pulverized headbutts Nian back in. Early exhaust, and Gamsu will not get anything done, because guess what? Nintendo's here as well. Azinga on the backside, though. Kiwi Kid forced out of this one.
Fusion splits focus between the Hecarim and the Alistar, but Alistar had already flashed in, and he had no escapes left. If they all focus Alistar, they get the first blood, but they see Gragas coming from the back. They split damage between Gamsu and Alistar, and it ends up being a 0 for 0.
Yeah, 0 for 0, you're right. I mean, both these guys would be escapeless, and I guess that's why some of them looked at Hecarim as well, knowing that, oh, you can't get away, but yeah, only both of them getting low. Easy recall in, everyone's going to be fine. Nintendo goes to hold the mid lane wave, as we'll see Kassadin back just for a double crystals here.
It's pretty much the dream scenario as a guy who's ganking in a jungle.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, flashless people? Great.
He flashes in.
Yeah.
Right next to 3 people.
I got a red buff.
As a level 4 Alistar and lives.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oof. They even use exhaust, but they exhausted Hecarim.
Yeah. Tricky situation there. Again, Team Dignitas is in a 2v2 lane where their top laner is being supported.
Yeah.
But this time the lanes are actually quite even. Sion is a really strong laner against an AD carry, stronger than Hecarim would be. And this time the Hecarim is being supported, so it ends up being a much more even battlefield here.
Yeah, seems just happy for Gamsu, back up to full health after using a couple of flask charges. Hasn't backed for any items just yet, so happiness and health. Shifter's recall gives him Chalice and an Amp Tome, so an item lead in this matchup in the mid lane. 7 minions. And he's going to be happy. Small gold lead for Dignitas, of course. Trant's getting plenty of money, though, from his spell thieves. Helps equalize that somewhat, so a rich Janna in an easy lane. Nintendo on top of a ward, though. This flashless top lane with just enough ward coverage to survive it.
Yeah, and Nintendo's spending a lot of time here. It's generally to no avail, other than to make sure Nian gets his farm, which is a pretty good thing to be doing. I think Nian will be able to do it without Nintendo Dex, but it gives him the added security to stick around as he's trying to hit that BF sword breakpoint, which he is at right now, but he just decided to recall.
Yeah, similar breakpoint comes in as Sightstone goes through for Kiwi Kid. Buys a pink ward as well, so a 900 gold recall. Actually very smart. I like actually that recall timing for supports. Happens around the same time as AD carries get BF, so hey, everyone's happy. Chucky Fresh, still 1v winning the Sivir. Crushes the wave pretty fast. 52 to 57 in CS.
And he's free to push that hard because they've seen Nintendo Dex in a ward.
Yeah.
Everyone on Fusion is accounted for, so therefore Corday can continue to push in Chunky Fresh here with just his Doran's Blade in the 1v1.
So whenever the recalls come through, of course, both top laners holding teleport. If you want to pressure a dragon, you want to recall, put your duo lane, your AD carrying support down to the bottom side. Looks like neither team cares too much about that just yet. Really, dragon, as you mentioned earlier, not the most important thing in the game.
So Trance had gone bottom to get some ward coverage for Chunky Fresh, but that leaves a temporary moment of vulnerability. No wards for Nian. No help. He's going to have to play this real well to stay alive. Here
comes the teleport in from Sion. Will they go for it? Nice flash! Gets away from the headbutt. But Fresh get away.
teleport actually used to dissuade that dive. Now Chunky Fresh is lost down bottom, so those wards that Trance had gone to place for safety in the lane, what lane is he protecting at this point? Nintendo X, he's close to level 6. Would he smite some minions to get it? Come on, man, smite him. He can get 6. There he is, but...
Spell Shield not been used yet.
He had the idea a little late.
Yeah. I mean, he queued into the E to like, all right, I got the stun to like set up everything else, but pushes CoreJJ out of lane. 70 CS on Sivir, that was plenty. Easy BF sword plus boots if he wants it. Yeah, that's what he gets up. More potions as well. Trinket is available. Stays with yellow, though. For now, anyway. Trance is still staying top lane, but Nian has moved towards the bot side. He does get down to this side of the map first. Nintendo's already around as well. Gamsu has TP in this top lane. And, you know, enough items to be useful in a fight. Looks like Dragon can't be an easy contest here for Fusion because of that TP disadvantage. Unless they just bait the teleport out. It's also a possibility, of course.
Team Dignitas has done pretty well abusing these TP disadvantages in the 2 games that they were able to win.
True.
I'm just waiting for the craziness to begin in this game for you because...
It's a game with Kiwi Kid. It's going to happen at some point.
It's really close. Kiwi Kid's on an initiation champion. There's a lot of targets that want diving attention. Like Nian on a less protected Jinx is just daring people to go kill him.
Gamsu really feeling good about his damage output here. No offensive items save boots for his passive. Chunky Fresh stacking armor, but still having to be pretty afraid of this hacker room right now. All of the combat summoners are available for both these top laners. One's got Flash, one's got Ignite. Huhi actually surviving Shifter quite nicely. Now he's got 4 points in Q. He doesn't get burst out anymore. Zingy around the backside, spotted by a ward, but still a 3-man dive. Nian cannot spell shield anything. Locked up, exhaust goes onto CoreJJ, but the turret is just hitting Kiwi Kid, who doesn't seem to care very much. He's gonna survive, and first blood goes over to a Zingy.
Nice dive right there. They knew that Nian had no flash from the previous gank. Trance was not level 6 for the appropriate peel, and Kiwi Kid, despite not even having his ultimate, just turret tanks that one to get the kill.
Perfectly played, doesn't have to flash out or anything. Fusion looking to sneak around the backside. They've got a little bit of time for Nintendo to go through the jungle. Puts a couple of wards down. He's got a pink in inventory. Just spots for things, and there's that pink ward going down. Nice. Nintendo steals away the Krugs.
And an immediate sweep from Zingy.
And he misses it anyway.
Ah, adding insult to injury.
Got it.
At least you got first blood.
Yeah.
I think you'll take it.
Yeah, I think you're okay. First blood for Krugs. You know what? It's a decent trade. We'll be alright on this one. Chunky Fresh feeling good against Gamsu now. Still down a few minions, but it's not too bad. So Dignitas up 800 gold thanks to that nice first blood, and thanks to some really good laning by their AD carry and mid laner so far. In fact, all the big lanes are winning slightly in farm. And thanks to first blood, even the jungler's up in gold. Sightstone Rush for Zingy himself. Compared to the Cinderhulk of Nintendo, these guys have actually like basically the same money. So differences in choices here.
Yep.
Defensive pink ward for Shifter. Wants to track down Huhi, who's now getting jumped on by Kiwi Kid. There's the headbutt. There's the pulverize. Huhi's going to try to jump away. Burns flash to do so. Chain is gone. 4 men bot lane.
Yeah. He actually covered enough distance to break the LeBlanc chain.
That's hard to do.
Got to go a far distance to do that. Huhi burns flash there because of a failed roam. Nice job by Shifter to follow it there. Even though Shifter being at this point in the lane, going the defensive Chalice build with a near Rod of Ages completed for Huhi, I feel like Shifter's kind of running out of time in that matchup.
And where they want a Zingy half HP on him. Kiwi Kid up in the front. Nice! Howling Gale stops the headbutt. Looks like nothing gained here. Sivir ulti was popped as part of that, by the way, so CoreJJ missing an ultimate as well.
Teleports are back up for both top laners.
Oh, be careful. Flash.
This is a home guard TP.
And Nian's in a really bad spot. Pop Seal does the damage he can, but gets piled on. And LeBlanc gets the kill. Now Trance got to be real careful. Flashes the wall. In comes Kiwi Kid, but he's got no mana. Alistair will not get this kill, but in comes Shifter. Pops in. Goes for whatever he can. Chunky Fresh also forced to flash away. It's a 1-for-0 in this fight. Dignitas with map control.
Wow, so Nian here getting punished for not having the same level of protection he did in the last game. Team Dignitas using their Assassination LeBlanc to get in there and take him down. Plus, they get the Dragon out of this. Great start for Team Dignitas.
There's going to be up 1,000 gold and up a Dragon. Shifter still harassing poor Huhi on this one. And looks like the little Blanc pickup in round 2 of picks and bans felt pretty good for Dignitas here. The Gragas, a Zingy, getting better throughout the series as well. 100% kill participation for him. He's just repeatedly looked for Nien, managed to kill him. This immobile Jinx not really getting off the ground just yet. Dignitas doing a great job of punishing.
Just the BF sword. 13.5 minutes in. Completed his Berserker's Greaves. Maybe he wants a little bit more mobility or just turret pushing.
Yeah.
Overall, though, the turret pushing is in the favor of Team Dignitas right now.
Yeah, they knocked that one down and it puts them 2,500 gold ahead. This lead is growing very rapidly. Dignitas using their leads quite nicely. That turret goes down. Recall for Sivir. I expect her to go top lane now and knock down another outer turret. Of course, Catherine's wave clear not very good either, so mid lane could also be a choice. Or DJ again buys Zeal before other items. Interesting.
Team Dignitas wants to punish the lower wave clear of some of Fusion's champions right here. With the Sivir to rotate around the map, press the lanes as much as possible, and take advantage of this mid-game gold lead. So much of this will be about Shifter and whether he can capitalize on this. Athene's Unholy Grail completed. Not a dominant laning phase, but when Shifter is on Assassins, who get early kills, classically, he has been able to take over some games. If Shifter gets 2, maybe 3 more kills, he could just turn it into 10.
And Nien, of course, just going to be squished for most of this game. He's running full MR glyphs. I know some players, AD carries, will cut magic resist glyphs for damage output, for attack speed. Not the case for Nien, so he's itemizing best he can to survive this kind of stuff, but so far, so good for Dignitas instead. 2,000. Mid lane is the target after all for Core JJ, but Nien already here to defend. This turret should be reasonably well defended, but you can see the kind of harass that Shifter is able to put down.
The blue buff as well. It's a map pressure game now. Team Dignitas. Look at the deep wards they've already been able to get. That's the key when they're trying to get these outer turrets down to beat Fusion to the rotations. They have total topside jungle control here, so if Shifter could clear this wave, they could take top lane. But Fusion trying to brute force it up the mid lane.
You can see how afraid Nien is. There's no one in sight, and he's like, you know what? There might be someone in sight. And he just took 10 seconds of not attacking anything. In comes Kid, lands the pulverize, lands the headbutt, lands everything. Gamsu dives on in, and down goes Trance, 1 for 0. Glacial Prison goes wide, but it's still a 1 for 1. That could have been so much more if he'd hit that.
And it's a 4v5, now 2 kills for 1. The top lane, Sivir, didn't kill the turret. Core JJ came down to join in later on that fight. Now he's here for the mid lane push.
And it was still won by Dignitas. And in fact, now this mid lane outer turret could die as well. Enough minions left by that it will be a destruction. And this is 4,000 gold, or at least 3.5 for Dignitas. Great team fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the bigger 16-minute leads we have seen in this entire series.
Yeah.
Now that we are down into Game 5. A huge play there.
Absolutely.
By a Zingy's Gragas. Honestly, a much maligned Zingy Gragas throughout this whole series. Very little effectiveness, poor starts, all this stuff. But a big-time explosive cast when it matters there.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, we saw Fusion was afraid the first time. This time they really should have been.
Yeah,
what a great engage.
Kid knocks him in, and then a Zingy knocks him further in. Trance was in the middle of the lane. Next thing he knows, he's rooted under the turret.
Yep.
Because of all the knockbacks. A Zingy then does fall. I'm surprised Core JJ didn't continue to push that top wave. I think they could have gotten 2 turrets off that trade if they did it optimally. But he was hoping for an extended fight. It's just Dignitas wanted too hard.
Yep. Yep. Killed it fast enough. So Dignitas looking good. It is worth pointing out, though, that this is a composition that doesn't have to rely just on Nien. It can also rely on Huhi. This Kassadin has good farm, has an assist. Rod of Ages is stacking. This is another threat that Dignitas can't ignore as time goes on. Wow, nice distortion by Shifter. Gets away from Nintendo. Though Dignitas is winning, and they're going to go for the dive here on Ahuhi, forcing him away. Kid still zoning him off XP and gold. Here we go, turret number 3 to 0. Dignitas heavily ahead in objectives.
The turret snowball is being executed right now by Team Dignitas. They kept the wave clear up on all 3 lanes. It's very rare that you can take down 3 turrets without having to trade back a turret. But they have had enough map control and wave clear to do so. Huhi, while he has been able to farm, he's not going to be the one split pushing the lane and getting the turret down. Nien would have to do that, but he will die to a teleporting Hecarim who has home guards in any situation, so he can't push up alone. The ways that Fusion actually gets these turrets back generally revolve around a team fight first or giving away an objective of some kind.
Well, speaking of a team fight first, Flash forced by Trance takes a single ultimate and gets nearly wrecked for it. Gamsu burnt his ulti as well. I don't see what for.
What did Chunky Fresh just teleport for?
Did he go to the bot lane? So Gamsu ulted to try to get rid of Huhi. Huhi flashed away. Chunky might have TP'd top to save the guy. Yeah, flashed by Huhi.
All right, Gamsu was all-inning Huhi.
Definitely gives him mana.
Yeah, he faked his teleport to draw Gamsu off. But then, again, this is now a teleport disadvantage.
Fine.
It's now a teleport disadvantage that Team Dignitas can use. Team Fusion.
I think Fusion can use some of this though, with them knowing Dignitas is going for this dragon right here, and like none of these turrets are really under fire. Send 3 guys top. At least get an outer turret for dragon.
Right.
I want to see Jinx go top lane right now.
Fusion can't get the wave shoving is the biggest issue they have. The much maligned position of being down 4,500 gold. 20 minutes in. Now 2 dragons. Fusion's had their back against the wall before this series. They have fought all the way back from 2-0.
Gamsu's even pinging, help me at top lane, help me at top lane. These guys are coming. Not happening. Dignitas a step ahead of a move that Fusion aren't even making. There's no war coverage top lane. Gamsu's playing it right, except that no one's even trying.
Yeah, no one's trying to get a turret. The objective trades are not trades, they're just takes by Team Dignitas.
Gifts.
Well, a lot of it has been earned by Team Dignitas this game.
True.
Shifter has made some nice plays. Zingy has made also some nice plays.
Very true.
They're burning flashes, escapes, summoner spells, and specifically Fusion doesn't want to start a fight unless they have vision, which they have none of.
They have a long room to go. Avarice Blade picked up for Nien, trying to get himself some more gold. He's earned 146 off of it so far. He can afford an Infinity Edge. He needs to buy that soon so he can clear waves faster. 30% crit chance for 2.5x is a really good damage output to have. Zingy's nearby though, still gets some half-aggressive wards up here. Keeping it around. Fuhi actually getting some damage off on a Gamsu, of course. Able to kite him back pretty well. No MR yet on Hecarim. Fuhi is scaling as hard as he possibly can, and in fact, minions are getting picked up pretty well by Fusion. You can see, you kind of compare minion scores down the line, and they're all fairly close.
Yeah, and this is also that potential mid-game lull where Fusion would have a chance to farm up a little bit. When the outer ring of turrets is already down, it's very difficult to get to that next wave of turrets. Therefore, Team Dignitas prepping with wards, waiting on dragon cooldowns, trying to play it right. But the thing is, it takes a while to set this up, and the longer that goes, the more Fusion has a chance to catch Dignitas in a bad rotation or a mistake. Dignitas has to play quite clean here to extend this lead to a win.
Absolutely agree. Sejuani into Scion is like 2.5 seconds at least of just full team lockup, so things to be afraid of for sure. We'll see if that can happen though. Gamsu looking to make a play onto Huhi. Does take damage for it, but otherwise fairly safe. Doesn't take a Q. Nintendo coming around the side. I believe he did dodge a ward while doing this, but Gamsu sees him by sitting in the brush. Trance able to sweep a ward away, and they keep their jungle safe for now, but time's still progressing. Shifter split pushing the bottom lane here. He doesn't have teleport. Baron apparently not really a major objective at this time. Can't blame him. It's really not. Nien gets as much jungle farm as possible. Does have IE. He's going towards that static shiv.
Yeah. I think he just went to Avarice Blade because he knew he was going to be farming for a while.
Yeah. Let's try to catch up. He can afford Zeal right now, so not too far behind in items against Core JJ. Overall gold for both these AD carries, 400 apart, not bad at all.
Oh, he had to burn flash there, though.
That's bad.
Yeah, Shifter just looked at him funny with the distortion. Nien immediately flashed away because he knew he was in danger of getting killed.
Yep. That's Nien now flashless for 4.5 minutes. Of Zingy gonna hop in toward Baron. Fusion do not have vision control of this. Nintendo's gonna walk right through some wards. And Shifter gonna go for the chain, will land it, but there's not gonna be any follow-up damage. The ward in the pit is cleared. Pink ward control there for Dignitas cleanly. And Dig don't have to burn ultimates in order to chase guys off the objective.
Scrying Orb is on cooldown for Fusion. It's dangerous. Team Dignitas could be on the Baron for all they know, but Nintendo, the second time he's baited that out without taking substantial damage, Really strong Sejuani play there. And not the most willingness to commit for Team Dignitas to an actual collapse on a solo man checking the Baron. That's actually pretty highly punishable.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it is a Sejuani who can jump away. Team Dignitas, if they're going to bait the Baron, they need to commit to that play.
So far, not the choice. Dignitas taking this one slow and steady. It's game 5. With a spot in the LCS on the line, Dignitas cannot afford to make a game-breaking mistake here. They take it slowly. The gold lead is 4,000, actually somewhat bridged by Fusion since we last checked that number out. So the slow and steady game going all right for the challengers here. Won the last 2 in a row, and just like the series, they're slowly clawing their way back into this specific game. But it is still Dignitas with the lead. So far, just split push on the sides, the ultimates, these summoner spells, the cooldowns, all up except for this flash from Nien. Dignitas still playing for ward control. They've mostly gotten rid of it. One more ward to get rid of.
Big Phantom Dancer completion for Core JJ.
Cyan coming in from the bot side and towards the lane as Zingy sweeps wards one more time, and Dignitas once again in the fog of war on Baron Pit. Sejuani showing her face again. Jinx just recalled, has static shiv to the Phantom Dancer of Core JJ. Both the AD carriers have spiked their second item here. 2 items for Shifter to 1 of who he's Kassadin though, and that's Chunky Fresh getting rooted in place. He's going to go down to half HP off the start of this fight. A tank at 1400 health is not tanky at all.
At least Fusion was able to return a little bit of damage there. And knowing that LeBlanc had burned the majority of her damage onto his tank. Got a nice static shift proc off onto Core JJ. It's still that stall attempt by Fusion at 37,000 to 34,000. Isn't nearly as bad as it would have been 10 minutes ago. 3,000 gold differential, that is.
Yeah, it's just getting smaller and smaller.
It's that mid-game lull that Team Dignitas needs to execute on.
Uhi versus Gamsu. Can he outplay the ult? He flashes early, gets hit by the fear. That's going to be a rift walk away. It's going to be close. Uhi can't quite get the kill, and those minions hit him. Not going to be the case.
You really have to wonder why he would flash before the Hecarim ult comes out. It's a very flashable ultimate right there. Hui with a misplay, and they give up the dragon, and they don't catch Hecarim.
Oh man, big stuff here. Nintendo actually finally does catch him on the backside.
They get him. It only took flash ult from Sejuani.
And all of Dignitas were on the bot side of the map. That means bot tier 2 can be pressured. You can see mid lane pushed in, Sivir pushing the wave on as well. I'm surprised they don't go for more pressure right here on Dignitas. They are so risk averse right now.
Yeah.
There's no Sedge ult, there's no Sedge flash. You have TP from Hecarim in 15 seconds. I'm very surprised to see Dignitas play it that slowly.
This is the time for Team Dignitas to take a few risks as well, knowing they're up against a Kassadin Jinx. Even though they do have a LeBlanc who can delete a Jinx if one little thing goes wrong.
Nice
while
try.
Jinx is fed, or if Huhi gets to max items on Kassadin, there would be some trouble.
Absolutely. He's got room to grow. He's still 300 gold short of a needlessly large rod. TP coming in, shifted, juking off to the side. They land the knockup. Two-men hit. Nien trying to buy some time. Cask puts him back towards his turret, though. A great ult by Trans to buy some time. Kiwi get tanky in the front lines. Chunky Fresh as well. And the disengage happens for Fusion, barely.
Wow, the Janna is able to disengage. Nien as well escapes without having to burn his flash because he didn't have it. And a nice teleport flank there by Gamsu, but it is not turned into a kill. The assault will continue, though.
Chunky Fresh rooted up. No flash for him. No ulti either. Rooted in place. In comes Hecarim. Will knock him back in towards the wall. 1,400 health. Counting the shield onto him. In goes Shifter one more time. This root will land. The Q hits for a bit of stun, but it's not going to be enough. Chunky Fresh goes down. Gamsu knocks in Trance. And oh, the flash keeps him safe. The Chopper is going to lock him down. A kill back into Nien. This could be huge. Can they chase anymore? Core JJ running away. Red buff on Jinx means chase power does exist. Who he can chase as well. Kiwi Kid no ultimate. The Fusion don't pick up anymore.
Still getting a 1-for-1 out of that is not that bad a deal. Tank for an 80 carry kill. Shifter has to run away. And if Fusion can get a turret off this, they come close to equalizing the goal in this game. Now, they still have to worry about the Dragons, but this is a small window for them.
And he ends up slightly in gold over Core JJ, plus the cheaper second item of Static Shiv means Laugh Whisper is soon. Who he jukes the chain, doesn't juke the second one. Can he rip walk away in time? Maybe it doesn't matter because Chunky Fresh is here. Shifter has distortion to jump back to. Jukes one, but in comes Huhi. The spell shield, wow, nearly gets him killed anyway, and Shifter gets him! Shifter gets him in the 1v2, and now to try to run away from more. No one's in range yet.
He's got a blue buff as well.
Oh, no. Man!
The blue buff was not enough. Nien picks up his 3rd kill of the game.
Shifter didn't see it coming. He had flash.
There's wards in the jungle too. It must have just slipped right through him. The path that Super Mega Death Rocket took.
That's so big too. That is so absolutely big. It's another 300 gold on the 80 carry. Bot lane outer actually goes down to Chunky Fresh. Nien can afford Last Whisper and then another 1,000 gold worth of items afterwards, so whether he goes for a Cowl, he goes for a QSS, or he goes for a Bloodthirster, Jinx is coming online. This game is 1,000 gold apart now, chat.
The Dragons are what Fusion needs to control if they want to come back in. And it's likewise what Team Dignitas needs to control. Looking at this fight again, I mean, nice juke by Huhi. Shifter lands the next one. And the Scion teleporting in, honestly, they were alive 0 for 0 if no teleport happens. I think Huhi just runs away, but they greed a little bit for this kill. Shifter outplays there. It's really hard for Assange to do anything to LeBlanc. And then, yeah, right through the wards, I think.
Yeah, if it went over by Wolves,
Super
wouldn't have
Mega
seen
Death
it.
Rocket goes through.
Nice aim. Saber ult popped. Can they catch Nien? A little bit of knock up there. Nintendo buys some time against Kiwi Kid. Q and E, all it takes. Kiwi Kid burned the ulti to try to break out of it. Still couldn't reach Nien. You're seeing Dignitas start to get desperate to kill off this AD carry, but they've lost so much time before they actually played aggressively.
Yeah.
Where is this
They had so
veracity earlier?
Team Dignitas had so much aggression in games 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right? That's when they had their confidence. Then they even made an aggressive Baron call in game 3 that worked out. The second aggressive Baron call did not work out. They kind of lost their confidence a little bit in game 3. They got crushed in game 4. Game 5, they had the early lead, but then played incredibly conservatively, which puts them in the situation where they could lose the lead against Fusion. And if that happened, they'd lose their LCS spot to Fusion as well.
And 1,300 gold separates the teams. Gamsu loses his recall. Chunky Fresh feels pretty good right now. Equal farm of these champions. Banshee's Frozen Heart and a Giant's Belt means Tank Scion is absolutely online right now.
It is about this next dragon, and there are a ton of wards in the Baron side of the map, but almost none in the Dragon side of the map. So that kind of dictates that maybe Team Dignitas is looking to trade a Dragon for a Baron at this point. Fusion knows they need to get some type of Dragon control to prevent a 5th Dragon rush, and it's actually Team Dignitas who goes down trying to control both ward coverage around Baron and now trying to get some ward coverage around Dragon. It is so important, and Fusion is late for this part.
Fusion's late to the party. Dragon, though, not up for 15 more seconds here. Most of the inventories have been bought up. Only maybe 2,000 total gold left in the pockets for both teams here, so these guys have bought up. Vamp Protector plus Spectre's Cowl for Nien. He needs to not die to Shifter, and he's built to do that. But once again, every ult, every summoner available to both of these teams. Nintendo down a half HP.
Great poke.
And Banshee's off
Shifter.
Chunky Fresh.
Yeah, Nintendo with a Righteous Glory.
They go mid, it's going to be a turret.
On Sejuani. But it's sacrificing Dragon 4. Is Dragon 4 really worth the turret?
Will they go for number 2?
They're going to have to push hard on this one because they've just put themselves on a 6-minute timer if they give up that Dragon, which has just gone down.
Jinx ult burn before the team fight just to try to pressure Dragon. I don't know if that's worth it here. Chunky Fresh going to get rooted up. Gamsu walking nearby enough that he could stop the Scion ult. Dignitas could always engage. No Jinx rocket. Maybe they want to fight this one.
Yeah, I mean, with the turret, they almost even out the gold. They know they're going to be all right in team fights, but they have put themselves on that timer for Dragon 5.
Inside track on tier 2. Dignitas could zone Fusion away and knock this turret down. Nintendo wants to bully his way in as Zingy's damage reduction is off. Nintendo forced to jump away. A lot of poke as Zingy down to half. That's where you would like to have a Jinx rocket. But they managed to frontline enough. Kiwi Kid again burns his ulti. Force run away. Righteous Glory pop. Chunky Fresh in towards the back line. Doesn't land on it too much, though. A flash from Keeping It gets him out, and now the Nintendo ulti lands. They're going to try to pick up a couple, but Gamsu into the back line. Looks for Trance, looks for more. Nian flashes away. Tries to run away. He does survive for now. And the front line's taking it up. He takes out Core JJ. They trade back onto Nintendo. Zingy now into the back line. Shifter takes down one, but he trades his life for it. It's a 2 for 2. He kicks up a third. A double kill for the mid laner for Team Fusion.
What a close fight right there. Shifter sells out for the kill on Nien, which gives more kills back to Huhi. And man, the gold is truth in this game for how close it is. Now Fusion without an 80 carry, just farming up a little bit. What a close game.
Wow, even Spectre's Cowl heal flash and the Janna peel couldn't keep Nian alive. The backline assassination definitely real, but the Huhi cleanup even realer.
Yeah, real messy looking fight. So Chunky Fresh pushes him into a corridor, and at this point, Nintendo wanted to land that big Sedge ult, but he lands it onto 2 tanks. He doesn't actually get it onto squishies. That's when Core JJ actually sees his opportunity. He jumps in, which opens up a small window for Shifter, who's in the backside right here, to jump in and finish off the end. He's always looking for the kill. Flash Distortion. Of course he's going to die afterwards, which he does, but he finished off the 80 carry, which stopped the disaster scenario for Dignitas, because if Fusion could have actually had the end getting some resets in that fight and closing down without Shifter assassinating, they may lose an inhibitor, 2 extra turrets.
Baron.
And Baron, right? But he stopped that. Shifter stopped that. Now they just have to control Dragon 5.
Yep, absolute hero play by Shifter. That was a very worth it 1-for-1. Oftentimes flash for 1-for-1, not a great choice. This one definitely wasn't intended. Trying to block a Zingy's body slam. Explosive cast buys just enough time. And over he goes, but that is now an ultless Gragas. Fusion actually in a gold lead for the first time all game.
And Void Staff plus level 16 for That is a 2-second cooldown on his Rift Walk. And Baron pressure. Shifter was off on the bottom of the map. They're trying to find a fight here.
They've stunned a Zingy. KiwiKid buys some time. Here comes the engage. Kiwi takes as much time as he can. Core JJ is in. In comes Gamsu as well. And he ended at a half health in the back lines. Can they peel for him enough? Looks like that is yes. And KiwiKid is only 3 autos from being killed. He's just zoned to the back line. Oh, 5-man knockup! And in they go. Core JJ picks up 1. They get 2. Trance can't buy enough time. 4 kills picked up for Dignitas. Only Chunky Fresh remains. No, only Huhi remains. Who gets out? But that means Baron.
KiwiKid with the headbutt pulverize that puts Dignitas ahead in this game. It was looking grim until that exact moment. And maybe KiwiKid just saved Dignitas' spot in the LCS.
LCS big plays. KiwiKid a massive re-engage on this one.
I mean, the start of this fight was dangerous. Sivir and LeBlanc were nowhere near, but the tank line was able to keep it alive for Fusion. Yen couldn't break through because of that slightly defensive build, and then it's just waiting. Shifter does not want to over-engage it. KiwiKid's off on the flank with this Righteous Glory, and he just waits for the moment. How many does he get here? It is 5. Absolutely all 5. He catches Huhi with the backside, and then all hell breaks loose. Everyone on Fusion goes down. Dignitas gets the distortion out. Good lord. That pulverize.
And Nian had really, really bad tunnel vision in that fight. He ulted in the face of an ulted Alistar, did no damage, and then after it fell off, he sits there at auto attack range and just doesn't hit KiwiKid. He probably should have died before Headbutt Pulverize came back up, but Nian just literally didn't deal damage for about 5 seconds until Kiwi's cooldowns came back. Now with Baron buff and a 5,000 gold lead, Dignitas could secure their spot back in the NALCS. They can prevent the reverse sweep. And it's a contribution from everyone on this team. Gamsu in the top lane, pressuring his turret a little bit. Huhi scares him off just enough.
And at this point, Shifter with his needlessly large rod plus 3 major items. No Aegis or Blocket on anyone from Fusion. Some individual magic resist being built here and there. Fusion needs to control this 5th dragon somehow. But Team Dignitas has the Baron buff, they have the vision control, and honestly Fusion has no way of dealing with Shifter.
They really don't. Jinx has to crit her 3 times in a row off of a Sejuani or Scion stun or something. And that's kind of it. Definitely a difficult road ahead. 30 seconds until Dragon respawns. Dignitas will have Baron for that. Huhi getting some decent damage on Gamsu. He isn't chasing for the kill, though. I'm actually surprised he doesn't Rift Walk in onto the Hecarim, but doesn't think he has the damage.
He needs to get down for Dragon. he can't commit into that. Even if Gamsu somehow got out of that, it's giving away 5th Dragon for sure. Now Gamsu's going to have his home guard teleport. Team Dignitas is getting that poke off before the fight. That's the critical thing. A little bit of poke before the dragon spawn, meaning they can now play the angles for the dragon fight.
4 offensive items on both AD carries. If you get time to hit whatever you want, it's going to be good. Kiwi Kid stopped up for a short time. Chunky Fresh off on the sides. Shifted down to half. Good play from Huhi to do this. Gamsu zoned away on the backside. Sivir ult is now down for this fight. No other ults were used. Chunky Fresh looking to recall. He has teleport to get back in.
But, I mean, the dragon goes down rather quickly.
Nintendude goes in, doesn't find a good stun. There he gets 4 with it, but nothing to get picked up. Huhi into the back line, pops Sonya's. Sejuani killed off by Hecarim. Gamsu ults out. Huhi runs away for dear life, flashes as well. Kiwi Kid now without the ulti. Nian has time to deal damage. He has the vision. Dragon's getting lower. There's no jungle to take it away, but it resets. Nian out from the side. Huhi to help. Looks for Shifter. Distortions away with 1 hit away. And now Chunky Fresh buys time. A big knockup. Nian's got time, but Azingi is tanky. Huhi could re-engage. Will he find Core JJ? Ricochet doing some good damage. The barrel times out.
Core JJ still has home guard and teleport. If he is able to recall here, it's super tense. Nian interrupted that recall. Shifter has gone back to base. It's a waiting game right now. Huhi trying to make it back as well. No one wants to get rid of this dragon. It's been a close fight thus far. Nintendude is even respawning.
Gamsu's running top lane just to take down the turret. No, he's going to recall finally.
Oh, is he going to be able to?
Huhi spots him. A lot of damage available for this cast and ignites on. There's the jump on in, the W. One more Rift Walk. One more. Core JJ shows up. Careful, Huhi. He's getting shut down by the AD carry. Ignite is on. That's going to be the kill picked up. No!
It's not.
It times out.
They get the dragon.
Gets picked up by Fusion. They're on their way back in. It's a 5v4 for 45 seconds.
Every little thing matters right there. Gamsu could not get back for the recall. Distracted long enough. They can secure the dragon. It does not get stolen away. They have bought themselves time. All that was also with Team Dignitas having the Baron buff, which meant if any fight goes the slightest way to Team Dignitas, they can take inhibitors. End the game. If that fight goes to Fusion, over. No LCS this split. But now they have a few minutes to try and get back in.
All right, it looks like Fusion just going to take some time to lick their wounds. It's going to slow down for a little bit. A big wave bot lane. Dragon and Baron both off the table for a while here. Huhi, whoa! Does not catch Shifter with a Rift Walk forward.
Took a lot of damage there, too.
3 seconds on Hecarim. He's back up with TP and Home Guard. Nearly Spirit Visage on him. So 3 tank items to 3 tank items for these top laners as that item will soon be completed. Core JJ cleared the bot lane wave, rejoins. He's got QSS, but no Mercurial Scimitar for about 2,000 gold. Nian is only 400 away from getting his Banshees. Make him even harder to pick off. This team is all about Nian. But also Huhi slowly scaling up.
Yeah, Huhi doesn't actually have...
He's got a long way to go for that.
Yeah, as much gold as we would expect. 700 gold sitting right now. Even though he was able to pick up Hecarim on the back side of that one. He would need a Deathcap, Lichbane, or Ludens for his next item to have additional threat. He's still pretty scary. Level 18 Kassadin, if he can get a blue buff as well, would become really scary. If Nian isn't taken out immediately in this fight, 4 full offensive items, him and Core JJ, both giant carry threats. I mean, ultimately, Gamsu's Hecarim is much more threatening than the Scion right now. But a lot of these fights will just end up being Shifter, can he assassinate? Huhi, can he get in the back line, disrupt damage?
You have low mobility AD carries, big top lane tanks, and really scary mid lane assassins. There's some peel from both supports. There's enough engage to go around on either side. These are very similar team compositions. The gold is practically, it's actually not close to it, not gold, 7,000 apart, but Fusion
rush this
making it look close. It's 25 seconds away.
If it was up, they could rush it. I got a little excited there.
Yeah, I did too. Time slows down when the games are this close. Team Fusion looking for a death brush here. Azingi spotted out. Takes a bit of damage, but not going to get knocked down at all. Big wave in the bottom lane. Gamsu has teleport. He could go grab it. A very magic resist focused build for Gamsu. In comes Chunky Fresh, lands a stun. Takes a lot of damage, forced to flash away. Misplay by the Fusion top laner.
Definitely. There is a wave that has to be managed in that bottom lane, but it can very well be managed by teleporting Hecarim. And Fusion does not have the pink wards nor the sweeping to be playing this style right now. They have 1 pink ward.
Oh, they're going to try anyway.
2 sweepers.
In face of a blue trinket, Gamsu would rather walk across the map than use teleport. Fusion once again cannot do this in the fog of war. Hecarim is on his way, but Baron will die before Hecarim reaches this fight. Zingy off on the
Half
side.
health. Team Dignitas.
In comes the knockup onto 4. What are they going to hit? Down goes Cassidy. That is massive. Dignitas to win the game on this team fight if it's good enough. Into the back line. They find Nien, but Gamsu is exhausted. Nien trying to kite back. Alistair to land a bit of CC, and 3 members now dead from Fusion. Nien trying to cut away, but I don't know if he can do it. In comes Shifter. Gets the 4th kill of the fight. This could be it. A knockup into the wall. Trance trying to run away, but Dignitas have all the time in the world to now close the game.
Kiwi Kid landed a 5-man pulverized near Baron, a 4-man pulverized near Baron, 0-0-17 in this game. 17 of the 19 kills. Kiwi Kids, Alistair, maybe what takes Dignitas back into the LCS.
And with 30 seconds to close out the base, this is gonna be it. Dignitas take down turret number 1. They take down turret number 2. And in game 5, through the skin of their teeth, Dignitas are back in the North American LCS.
Man. What a tough series for Team Dignitas. And yeah, the hugs come through for Kiwi Kid on the cow right there. He's got to feel so good about that Alistair performance.
Absolutely massive. We've seen games carried by individual players. This one was absolutely a team effort. I would say Kiwi Kid, ridiculously amazing. His engages, his re-engages were awesome. But even Shifter, choosing his times to go hyper-aggressive, flashing in to knock down Jinx in crucial team fights to keep his base alive in some cases. Also very big.
Definitely some mistakes on both sides as well, but that's what happens. These guys are a challenger level team against a team near the bottom of the LCS. There's going to be mistakes here, and it's all about how you capitalize and how you play when the pressure is on. What ended up happening here for Fusion down the stretch, they would just go again and again trying to pull off those Baron baits without proper vision control, and Team Dignitas could punish them for it. Target prioritization by Nien, a little bit sloppy, but Team Dignitas with Kiwi Kid, Shifter, Zingy, Gamsu, Core JJ, they make it into the LCS. For a Zingy here, this has to be somewhat vindicating.
Yeah.
He comes on a Team Dignitas in the middle of the year. This time, though, he's earned his way into the LCS.
He absolutely has in Dignitas. So they've faced relegation before. Their second trip to this tournament, they once again come out victorious. They once again stay in. Kiwi Kid's back was very large. You're seeing Fusion, Nien on your screen right here. They were so close to come back from being down 0-2 and winning 2 in a row, and then nearly making the comeback in this game as well, clawing that gold lead back. But it's going to be another split in the Challenger Series in the summer split for Fusion here. I think they've definitely learned a lot. I've seen so much improvement on these players, but...
Yeah, not only did Team Fusion come 1 game away, but they were a team fight away at certain stages in this game. If Kiwi Kid, if they didn't group up for one, but if Kiwi Kid didn't find that window for a 5-man Alistair pulverize, maybe this would be a totally different story. That's why we play the games.
That's
big players make big plays.
Absolutely massive plays. So, Dignitas back in. They were 9th place last split. 10th place Coast drops out. They're replaced. And now Dignitas have to imagine they're looking for something a bit higher this time around. Competition gets fiercer. A lot of really good teams in North American LCS, but Dignitas are continuing to get more time to gel with this lineup, to improve as players. We saw Kiwi Kids, it was a player that swapped to support, could really only play Annie. Seemed pretty useless if he wasn't on that champion. You saw his big engaged supports get banned out in this series, and Fusion thought that was enough. Comes back onto Alistair, still makes huge plays on that champion. 5-man knockups, things like that. It's like, all right, there's growth as a player.
Yeah, 5-man knockup and then a 4-man in the same game.
Yeah.
And both of them were game-changing fights.
Yes.
The highest pressure situations. Talk a little bit about the rest of the team, like Core JJ and Kiwi Kid. Really solid dual lane. I think that's the strength that team has to build around. Something that they're going to have to work on going into the season is that jungle mid lane duo or synergy in almost every game. Zingy and Shifter were falling a little bit behind. Shifter, he has it in him. We've seen him in the past, years ago, be a top-tier mid laner. He had a slump this split. He needs to get out of that slump for Dignitas to be a top-tier team. I think Gamsu has it in him as well. He's had some amazing performances in the top lane. We saw a lot of Team Dignitas' strengths in this series, but we also saw some of their weaknesses.
Yeah, we did.
And, I mean, that's a great time to expose them. They're now safely in the LCS.
Yeah.
They have an entire split to work them out.
And with Summer Split, of course, you can try to qualify for Worlds, a stretch goal here for Dignitas, but something that these guys have done before. This is a team that went to Worlds in Season 2. They're 3 years now down the line, but these guys can start to rebuild, get that synergy going, get the skill up, get those fights going, and maybe Dignitas can make that push here in the Summer Split. Now, to highlight some more of that game, we have a couple of replays here. We talked about Kiwi Kids, Alistair's stunts, but let's show some of these guys. All right, so the first up, it's a 35-minute Baron fight, and this is, I think, the single biggest one to me.
Yeah, this is what I believe ended up with the 5-man pulverize at the end. But it's all about kind of how this game began. And this was the turning point in the game. It was 4 Dragons to 0, 4 Team Dignitas, but Fusion was even in gold, right? So anything can happen in this fight. Let's roll into this clip right now. They burned the Sej ult on a Zingy, which wasn't the greatest. They were trying to get the pick quickly and then have Team Dignitas filter in, but they didn't necessarily save their crowd control well enough. And then we watched the re-engage from Team Dignitas. Relatively strong, Gamsu, not able to get much. Really, it's looking like Fusion's going to end up winning this fight. Shifter had to burn his distortion on a tank. You think Fusion's going to come back down, but then even Huhi moves a little bit farther back in, and the instant the Kiwi Key lands that pulverize, everybody goes in for Team Dignitas, and that's what happens when 5 people are CC'd all at the same time.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do against it.
Nope. Saber's full combo, mimicked distortion from LeBlanc to add another 600 damage on the top of it. And when you hit 5 people with a whole bunch of AoE skills, suddenly the team fight shatters. And you saw, Janna tried. She tried to disengage things. Trance was there, but she was part of that 5-man knockup. And, you can't disengage that fast when you're still stunned by Alistair. So, of course, yeah, a very, very good re-engage there by Kiwi Kid. That was a big fight. That got a gigantic lead to Dignitas, but even then, it was still a fairly close game.
Because they didn't get the 5th dragon.
Right.
Which was a critical moment there that made you think Fusion could be able to hold on to it, and Hui was going to be a late-game Kassadin.
Yep.
Right? But he did get picked off in that last fight.
He did get picked off. We have that last fight to show you guys here. 43 minutes in front of the Baron.
Yeah,
Fusion, they get there first.
There's a lot wrong with this from Fusion. They did not adequately sweep the area. So they did have some sweepers on the inside, but mainly the river was warded by Team Dignitas, so it made the collapse pretty easy because they knew that Fusion was either doing Baron or not waiting for a trap, which is why Team Dignitas could run in with such reckless abandon here. So roll this now. Watch for Huhi. Again, Kiwi Kid, 4-man, but specifically the fact that he got Huhi. They shut him down right away, and at that moment, the game was over. Fusion's not winning that fight without casting, getting off any spells. Kiwi Kid in there with his ultimate. Gamsu finds the flank over the wall. Once again, once Kiwi Kid makes the initial play, Team Dignitas can follow up on it. It's what has got them here in the first place in the games they were able to win. 4 of their 6 wins in the regular season were Kiwi Kid on Annie. It's just about him finding that next initiation support that can make the right plays. They chase down with that large gold lead. Gragas salty just for good measure. And then another knockout.
Yeah.
From Kiwi Kid.
Why not?
Nicely done.
Land more skills. Easy peasy. 0-0-17. What an amazing Alistair game for Kiwi Kid. Great game overall by Dignitas. They win the BO5. They are into the North American LCS, and now going to hand it over to Dash, who's with 2 members of that victorious Team Dignitas.
Thank you, gentlemen. I am here with Shifter and Kiwi Kid. Hard-fought 5-game series. Definitely not easy. Starting out 2-0. Having a few missteps, but then getting back into it. Immediately what I want to ask you guys, and Shifter, I'll direct this to you. What did you guys do in these off weeks to prepare for this match specifically? Because you had a fair amount of time with the LCS playoffs going on. Generally, during the LCS, you have 1 week prep for a 1 game. Now you had like 3 weeks prep for this. So what were the preparations and practice like going into this matchup?
We didn't really practice like specifically for this game other than just like bans and scrims and stuff, but it was mostly making sure Zingy was used to the team because he's still a really new player to the team, and we're making sure there's the top lane, bot lane, mid lane synergy going on. So a lot of the focus just came to making sure Zingy was comfortable and just like overall like general strategy that we were messing up on before.
All right, Kiwi Kid. This roster has been through a number of changes throughout the season, and earlier today we saw a feature where you spoke about wanting to play with this roster specifically more in order to watch it evolve and grow. And Shifter kind of spoke to this already. How do you feel you guys are in that evolution as a roster, and how do you expect to improve?
2 years ago when I joined Dig, I would have never thought I would be the oldest member on the team. It's actually kind of surreal. But no, like, I love everybody on my roster. Like, everybody's got their quirks and, you know, strengths. I don't mean to downplay quirks, but yeah, like, everybody I feel is a really solid player in character. All they need to do is talk, and like, I feel like the biggest thing we need to do right now is just make Azine comfortable. Like he has the most work ethic out of any person I've ever met, and like, I really like the guy.
That's great to hear that the attitude and the attitude within the team is doing well. And so I want to kind of push forward here and look at the fact that your calls seem to have improved. So what you're telling me is already starting to show itself, in that we saw a lot better objective control. There are a few missteps here and there, but that's to be expected. But for the most part, your guys' calls and control of both globals, objectives, and things like that were much improved. Shifter, what do you attribute that to mostly? Is it just that everyone has had enough time now to be comfortable with each other, or is Azine stepping up and making more decisive calls? Where's this coming from?
Honestly, all our calls pretty much come from Kiwi. Like, he just has a really good view on the map. Like, he just knows what's going on all the time. He knows where the jungler is. And right now we're working on Zingy to work on that as well, because jungle and support, obviously, they can look at the map all the time and the laners are busy laning. So I'd say most of the credit goes to Kiwi, and he's teaching Zingy right now. And, you know, once they just come together and have that jungle support synergy, I think will be really good.
All right, Kiwi, we saw multiple bans targeted at you. At first, just the Annie, but then after playing the Kennen ban comes through. So pulling two bans there, jumping to the Alistar and the Janna, showing depth in pool there. Do you kind of see that as as like a privilege almost, that you can pull that kind of response from enemy teams and lighten the load on the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, I think it's actually really cool, and I mean, I'm really proud of myself. Like, I like to be humble, but I feel like this is kind of still being humble. Like, there's no shame in being a little proud of yourself, and I feel like over like the past few months, I've expanded my champ pool like significantly, and I've like, man, I want to say like I've got better at my spacing, but I don't feel too well about this series because I definitely face checked a lot, and I'm still working on that. Unfortunately, like, it's kind of pathetic that it hasn't been fixed yet. But you know, I guess if that's my biggest flaw, it's not too bad. Like, I feel.
Yeah, well, the counter argument to that is some of the incredible plays that you set up with Shifter. We saw in that game one example with the Alistar combo, knocking all 5 people out, followed by LeBlanc distortion in, and just kind of eliminating everybody. And that's not the only time that you had a pretty sweet combo there. So Shifter, actually, I want to direct this to you in this partnership right here between the two of you, being pretty veteran players. What's the communication like between you two that's allowing you guys to set up some pretty massive plays like this?
Honestly, me and Kiwi are just like, we're really similar, like, personality-wise. Like, we chill a lot outside of the game, and in-game, I don't know, we're just like on the same page all the time. Like, I know earlier in this game when he got the like 5-man pull and I Ziggs ulted, I actually think I Ziggs ulted before he pulled, because he called that he was going in and I saw at the same time he did, and I don't know, we're just on the same page all the time.
On that same page, expecting it to land.
Hey.
I like it right here.
Hey.
There it is, teammates. Another interesting thing that we saw come out the series was the Jarvan top. And neither of you are Gamsu, but maybe you can answer for him.
Yeah.
Where exactly did that come from?
Yeah, I've actually dueled with Gamsu, and he just all of a sudden started playing Jarvan top. Like, I think he just really enjoys the champion, and he was just kind of relieved that Jarvan stopped being a good jungler, so now like he could play at top. And, you know, his top is, like, really good. It kind of reminds me of PDD from, like, Season 2. I think it was Season 2. And, yeah, he really enjoys it. And I think he knows a lot of the matchups. And, you know, just like a little twist pick, like, out of the meta pick can throw a lot of, you know, players off. And I feel like that's what it did. It served its purpose today.
Yeah, I mean, the AD assassin coming from the top lane was definitely an interesting take on it all. You know, finally, Shifter, what is this team's aspiration now that you've qualified for the summer split? What are your guys' aspirations for this upcoming split? Are you shooting to end up in that top 3? Is it, a more modest goal of just making it, into playoffs and seeing how you do? What are you guys looking at?
Well, just for the record, like this first split, we knew we weren't going to place very well just because it's just like a rebuilding stage. We got a whole new roster, so we're just working on improving as a team and not trying to place too high, but obviously we were at the same time. So this summer split, it's going to be really hard to get to Worlds because we didn't get any points this split, but obviously our #1 goal is Worlds. But anywhere in top 4, top 3 is just, I think that's a really nice improvement for us.
Well, as you mentioned, you have the roster of players to do it. It's about getting there as a team. There was one player that stood out in this series, though, and had a huge impact for your guys' team, and that player was, of course, Kiwi Kid. Now, he played incredibly well all day, but came up with several game-changing plays around the Baron Pit to help his team re-secure their spot in the LCS. And Kiwi, you mentioned wanting to be humble but being proud. I mean, I have a feeling this is something you can be proud of here, receiving this honors. And as you mentioned, knowing that there's still room for improvement as an individual.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be MVP of something, and, I guess relegation MVP is I can't say that's a true thing. I wanted to, but I'm just, I had a tough time sleeping last night, and, man, the feeling of being on the verge of getting reverse swept is man, I thought this would never happen to me. Yeah, I just, I felt void kid flowing through me. But, I put in so much work, I feel, in the past 2 months. I went from a pathetic 200 maybe LP to 800 LP. I worked a lot on my mechanics. I do it with a lot of people to see how much I helped. And one of those persons was Altec from Winterfox. He's about to play, I think.
Who we're going to see.
And, man, I feel like I owe the win to him because he, convinced me Alistar was good. And I was like, are you sure? I was like, dude, do it. And I was like, sure. And then, here I am, just, really cut through Alistar. And I do definitely believe in Alistar now.
Yeah, well, and it paid off. And to be honest, it's in those moments when you are about to be reverse swept and you have the composure to make the 5-man Alistar combo that wins the game. I think that's the moment that I would point to and say that's a stellar player right there shining through. So my congratulations to you on winning that honors, but also to the both of you and the organization for requalifying to the LCS this summer. And I wish you the best of luck when you guys get there. Now, we have only just hit the halfway mark, but when we come back, we'll head into our second series of the day with Winterfox taking on TDK. The action continues in just 3.5.
Good. Why don't we sing a Curry classic, Jai Ho?
Oh my god.
Has distortion to jump back to. Jukes one, but in comes Huhi. The spell shield, wow, nearly gets him killed anyway, and Shifter gets him!
I got him, I think.
Maybe.
Nice shot.
Nice job.
Nice.
How long's the last whisper?
Go hack him. I'm getting a okay. Hack. Sever.
Hacker up. Careful, LeBlanc still. LeBlanc.
Oh my god.
Wow! That's the kid, baby.
Wow.
In comes the knockup onto 4. What are they going to hit? Down goes Cassidy. That is massive. Dignitas to win the game on this team fight if it's good enough. Through the skin of their teeth, Dignitas are back in the North American LCS.